Marsha has been a great supporter for the last few years of UK Disability History Month, and was the Shadow Minister of Disability, is now a Shadow Minister of Equalities in the Labour Party, and is one of the few disabled members on the Labour benches, and probably one of the only disabled and black members on the Labour benches. So Marsha, please tell us your words of wisdom.
Thank you very much, Richard. And can I just say, it's an absolute pleasure to be with you this evening. And Richard, can I just thank you for all the incredible work that you have done over the past year. And I'm really pleased to be part of UK Disability History Month 2020. I say this because we know that this year has obviously been incredibly difficult for everyone with the global pandemic and the impact that COVID has had, in particularly on disabled people, thinking about the reduction in care and support, you know, the urgent yet inaccessible communications that the government have been putting out, ultimately, you know, ensuring that many deaf and disabled people were being excluded. And then we know the damning figures that actually 59% of those that have died from the virus were either disabled or had an underlying health condition. So we know the challenges are real, they are grave, and there's more to be done. But this year's theme is all about accessibility. How far have we come and how far have we to go? And I was writing about this last week, you know, and it's absolutely right that we have a period of reflection. And I was reflecting, you know, disappointingly, this year marks 25 years since the passing of the DDA. Now, we know that that piece of legislation was what I would call imperfect for what it was. Despite the campaigning of thousands of disabled people, the direct action under a Tory government back then, we didn't get what we rightly deserved. But now, so in answer to the question as to how far have we come and how far have we to go, the short answer is yes, we've made some progress, but gosh, we've got a huge, huge way, a long, long way to go. And there's no question or there's no doubt in anyone's mind of that. And I'm all too aware of that, because we still live in a society that for so many it is inaccessible. And it's not just the built environment or public transport, but as we know, and as the social and human rights model of disability tells us, it is those societal barriers that exclude and discriminate us as disabled people. And our exclusion isn't inevitable, it's actually caused by the way that our society is run and the way that our society is organized, from shared spaces. And to the comrade who spoke before me, you know, it's the inaccessibility of our homes, the inaccessibility of cash machines, of self-service machines in supermarkets. For somebody like myself that is living with sight loss, these things are hugely challenging. Now, I know that because there are so many millions of people living in the UK living with sight loss, these problems and these challenges are real. And that's why I'm really proud that the Labour Party has always and continues to be committed to incorporating the Convention on the Rights of Disabled People. And that's something that, you know, going forward, I want to continue to ensure that alongside our disabled comrades and colleagues, we are working hand in glove together to help develop and make this a reality. And it was great to hear John speaking at the start of this call, just about looking at legislative changes and so forth. And I've got an event coming up, Richard, which you will certainly be invited to, and I hope you will be able to attend, because I think it's also important that we talk about this to our colleagues within the Labour movement as well. But I want to just talk a little bit about my own lived experience in this inaccessible world, and, you know, the continued barriers that it presents, but also just finding and having different solutions on how I cope because of my vision impairment. And I should probably just say I have nystagmus, which is an involuntary movement of the eye, which causes me to be severely visually impaired, and I am registered severely sight impaired and blind too. But I'll talk about my workplace. You know, I'm a member of Parliament for Battersea. My workplace is an incredible place. You know, it's an incredible building. It's steeped in so much history, but it's not the most accessible. From poor lighting to lack of colour contrasting and markings on steps, no colour coordination on glass doors, and I could continue to go on. These are all things that are so basic, but they're still not in place yet. And that's where, you know, we talk about universal design and we talk about how our environments are made and set up, and we're just still not in a place where it is the first thing that people think about. Accessibility is still such an afterthought, and it has to always be right at the center of all that we do. For me, documents have to always be in large print, which means I know the trees do not like me. I love them, but you know, sometimes my speeches that I have to give will go beyond 30 plus pages long, but that's just the nature of how I have to do life because of the inaccessible way things are operating. But in this lockdown, you know, both lockdowns, literally overnight, we've all had to pivot to a whole virtual way of working. Look how we're meeting. I remember 12 months ago, Richard, we were at the UCL launching UK Disability History Month with John McDonnell and so many others. And we were also in a general election as well. But, you know, this whole virtual setting of how we do things, it's either Microsoft Teams or Zoom, you know, they've become the norm. But neither of those applications are fully accessible. And although Zoom is better of the two, I can't use the chat function. I can't read the names of participants on the screen or use any of the other functions that are available on this online platform and on this online application. Lockdown for me also has meant Parliament has moved to a more hybrid of virtual and physical participation. But there are so many of us, those that are clinically deemed as clinically extremely vulnerable, or if you're disabled like myself, or if you have underlying health conditions, it's difficult for us to go in physically to the parliamentary estate, which that excludes us from actually being able to participate in debate. So that includes myself, people that are shielding are unable to do that. And for the mother of parliaments, that people look at the British Parliament as this amazing institution, not to get this right is not a good look. And, you know, we should be leading by example, no ifs and no buts. And that's great that, you know, we are now continuing to really try and force the hand. But this government and the leader of the House, Jacob Rees-Mogg, they are not interested. No one should have to chase around to get information they need in order to do their job in an accessible format. Adjustments
Marsha, please.
Adjustments must be made, or we need to be told that we can't fully participate. So yes, as I said, you know, we have come a long way and progress has been made, but we still have so much more work to do. And, you know, my activist roots in the disability movement have helped really steer my political life. And, you know, I want to ensure that with yourselves and the whole movement, we continue to campaign and work together.
Thank you so much, Marsha. And I know you also have to rush off to another meeting as a busy MP. So thank you for giving us the time and supporting us, and we will support you in whichever way we can. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Richard.
That's okay.